Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Welcome to Arizona Barrio Stories. Thank you for being a part of this very unique platform. We look for your stories, we look for your pictures. Occasionally, we will bring information to you. Today, we have some exciting information coming to you from David Parra-Luna with AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Before we get started, don't forget, you can now find us on Chicano Hollywood, on your app, on your phone, or on your smart TV on Roku. Make sure you look for us. If you have any issues, hit us up and we'll guide you through it. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Irma. My pleasure once again. Here we are, second show on my finances.
Oh no, my finances. It could be either good or it could be bad depending on what situation you're in.
Yeah, we are going to be talking about 3 points in this show, but we're not going to be in a hurry, and we'll see what time allows us to cover, and then we'll continue on other shows. But you know, it's very, very important to manage our finances. And you know, I'm 57 years old, and I see my own experience, my children's, and I don't think it's getting any easier to make money. You know, as we know, technology tends to replace workers, and they say that that eventually, even just to get normal jobs, you know, without requiring a lot of credentials, that you're going to have at least a high school diploma. So that shows that technology tends to replace jobs. And so therefore, it's not getting any easier. It's going to require more education to get good jobs, good paying jobs. So that in itself, it's a challenge, right? To young people today. I mean, I remember that my situation when I was young, it was, I mean, I think the first rent that I pay as a married person, it was $450 a month. Today, I mean, you pay $1,500, $2,000 just for rent in this area, especially in the last few years, you know. So making the money in itself is a challenge. That's why we encourage everybody to get a trade or get a career in universities, because making money, it doesn't get any easier. But once we have the money, the tendency is to see that paycheck and see the money and take off, you know, start spending it like crazy. Well, it's not a good thing to just spend your money in a crazy way, let's put it that way. I think it's very important to do a budget, to kind of see how much money, how much extra you have. And that's why we're going to be emphasizing very heavily on budgeting. We need to do a budget. If people watch the first show, we talked about what a deficit is, and then you borrow money and that creates debt, right? So we encourage folks to watch the first show. But this is basically what we're going to be doing in this show. We're going to assess our financial situation. We're going to calculate our net worth. Maybe people have never heard of this, right? How to calculate your net worth, and then to do your budget. That's basically what
I'm glad you mentioned budget. I think my first job, I was a teenager. I made $1.25 an hour. Mm-hmm. Times were different. I'm now retired. I'm no longer with the $1.25 an hour, but I was teaching for a period there, and my income probably wasn't that great, but you know, we had to live within a budget. And now here we are, 2023, and things have skyrocketed. Gas, groceries. So I'm glad you mentioned budget, because times are very different now.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to go off script, as they say. I'm going to say something that is not necessarily part of my presentation, but I think that we have to be very careful because our image, the image that we want to project to others, can be costly. I think if you play that game of allowing your car to identify you, your clothing to identify you, the places that you go, the places you go to vacation, and if that's going to be the kind of status that you want to show others, to show the world, it's going to be costly, and it's up to everybody. I mean, everybody does whatever they want. We're free. But image can be tricky. So I always tell my kids, I will never allow my vehicle, my clothing to represent me. I represent myself, my values, who I am, not the material things. Because I believe that's the trap. And then we see influencers, we see people that we appreciate, maybe the sports world, whatever. The movies, you see actors, you see actresses, you see everything. And then you want to be like somebody else, basically not necessarily that's not who you are, and they have a ton of money, right? So all I'm saying is that I think this is a very important point in managing finances. What kind of image do you want to portray? Are you going to allow the material things to identify you, or are you going to represent yourself without the other stuff? I think if we get this point across, it's going to be easy to manage finances. If not, no money, no millions are going to be sufficient to try to keep up with the Jones, as they call them, right?
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
You beat me to it, but keeping up with the Joneses will get you in trouble.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do we have in store?
Okay, so let us just do an assessment. I'm going to ask you questions, and these are going to be rhetorical questions. That means they don't need to be answered, but it's for you and for me and for all of you. You listen and you answer true or false, right? I have a good idea of how much money I have and how much money I owe. Okay. Question number 2. I spend less money each month than I take in.
Ooh.
I hope it's true, right? So you have to spend less than what you bring in. If not, you'll have a deficit. Number 3, I set aside money every month for savings. True or false? We're assessing our situation, right? Let me see, I'm on number 4. I use a budget to plan for and track my expenses. Maybe, maybe not. Very important. Number 5, I can accurately predict what my daily expenses will be and how much I will spend next month.
Those are good questions
Very
to
good
think
questions.
about.
Yeah, that means you're not buying by impulse, right? So you have a pretty good idea of your budget, and whatever comes your way, you're not going to fall into temptation and just buy things, right? So that's a very good assessment, I think. Let me read number 6. I include my infrequent expenses like property taxes or insurance premiums in my budget, right? This is very important because sometimes we have monthly expenses, but then sometimes we have yearly or annual expenses. So for that, you need to convert them into monthly, because we encourage people to do budget monthly, right? So you get your annual payment on property taxes, you divide it by 12, and that'll give you your monthly expense on property taxes. Let me see, number 7, I have a good sense of which of my expenses are wants and which are needs. Huge point.
Wants and needs.
Huge point. This is going to be something we're going to emphasize, during this shows, that we need to differentiate between I want or I need. This is what I need. I need to pay the rent, but I want to go out and eat at the restaurant. I want to go on vacation, right? Again, you can do it if you want to, but if you budget, it'll be a great vacation, a great time. If you don't budget, it's still going to be great, but when you come back, the bills are going to be awaiting you. So very important to understand these concepts of wants and needs. And actually, when it comes to cutting on budget, because sometimes when you're spending more money than when you're bringing in, you need to cut. So by when you do your budget, if you make a little note, this is a want. Okay, so I'm spending this, and that. This is a want, this is a need. This is a want, this is a need. Then when it comes time to cutting, then you know where you're going to go. You're not going to go to the needs. You're going to go to the wants and say, all right, I need an additional $150 to make ends meet. So now I need to find out, I drink coffee at this place, expensive place, at 10 times a month. So now I just cut it at 5 and I'll save that money. That's what we're talking about, wants and needs. Let me move to number 8. Most months I have money left over for my wants after I have paid for my needs. I hope it's true, but this is an assessment that we're making, right? Number 9, I regularly take time to write down my financial goals. I don't know about this one. Maybe not so much, right? Financial goals. You know, when you're worried about today, sometimes it's difficult to see the, what your goals are, short term and long term. And the last question, and this is all the time we're gonna have for this one. Just kind of do an assessment. I am currently working toward a specific financial goals and have a plan for how I will achieve them. Very, very. I guess, I don't know if I can use the word sobering, but it's a good assessment. And I want to repeat, Irma, that all these materials, these topics, these concepts can be found in a workbook that folks can download from the aarp.org website. And you can just go to that page, aarp.org, and do a search and just search for Finances 50 Plus. You'll be able to download a PDF of all this. This is a workbook this thick. It's got everything that people need. So all we're doing is kind of giving them teasers, right? So they can be encouraged to take action and manage their finances.
David, thank you. These are thought-provoking questions that I'm hoping resonate with people and they're able to start thinking, is that a want or is that a need?
Definitely.
Am I living within my means?
Right.
Thank you. And we will see you soon.
Next time, we'll be back with more information. Thank you, Irma. My pleasure.
This is Irma from Arizona Barrio Stories. I hope this is something that you find useful. What are your wants? What are your needs? We want to help you. This information is really good. This is Irma from Arizona Barrio Stories. We are signing off, and I hope to see you soon.